All right, here we go, here we go. Hello. I've got another contest going. First one to identify the skipping little theme, which Caroline seems to be delighting in, although she doesn't know where it comes from. Contact me and I'll send you something fabulous in the mail. Let's see if this Blue Yeti makes any difference whatsoever here. Let's dolly forward here. Hook up this sucker. All right, plugging it in now. There we go. Or you tell me. Is that just a little bit better? Turning it up now. How's that? More? I'm trying to hit the red area. Don't you like how slick this is? Oh, okay. It's good. Yeah. Anybody guess? I can't see the readout, so it'll have to be in about 25 minutes. But the winner, guess what? Gets a copy of The Essential Gary Lucas. I'm tripping the light fantastic, revisiting my childhood here. Right. Ace Farron Ford, you better send me your address. I owe you for last week. Okay. I got a hint here. Hugh Beaumont, Tony Dow, and Jerry Mathers as the Beaver. All right, so I've been very industriously beavering around here in the last few days. I'm sorry I was a minute late on the launch pad today, but there's so much activity going around here. Terrible news continues to pile up. I don't mean to be the harbinger of any more bad news, but the anti-Asian outbreak just is a terrible manifestation of jingoistic Americana at its worst, and I'm glad it's finally getting significant coverage on the news, bumping off all the other accumulated bad news of last year. But it is a serious problem, and it's so cringeworthy and so unworthy of we the people here. So just wanted to say, as someone who's assiduously tried to promote Sino-American relations by doing my bit with the Edge of Heaven project, and which I continue to want to push forward with Feifei Yang. We do have 2 beautiful albums in the can. Actually, you could say Edge of Heaven 2 and Edge of Heaven Volume 3. There are 2 teaser snippets on the Essential Gary Lucas. One is All Along the Watchtower, a version of the Dylan classic, perhaps my favorite Bob Dylan song. And we got the seal of approval from the Dylan camp on that one, and check it out. I did a video with my guy down under, AAA, just based on some images called of the Great Wall and some other images of Chinese antiquity, which you should check out. I'll post it later on today, and please repost it. This is the only way I know how to grow recognition outside of, well, there's some good news. John Schaefer's New Sounds, one of my longtime supporters, has agreed to do a segment on his sound check program on the new album, and I'm going to get Caroline to record some tunes after we're done today. And that'll help. And as I mentioned last time, WDR Radio also came forward and are going to play some tracks. And that is the German national radio. So this is good news as somebody whose music really kind of falls through a lot of cracks. I don't know why, except if they're bored people out there, they usually get it. Anyway, people who don't settle for the same old, you know what I mean, seem to flock to my stuff. But the trick is to get it in front of them and get headspace or some ear time. And that is a daunting proposition in this day and age, where every second somebody is like booting a track up and just crowding all available space. Which is funny because one of my favorite guitarists and an influence back in the day, still is Ry Cooder. I think he's just phenomenal. I've loved his work, pretty much all of it I've heard, including the last record that came out on Concord. On his very first album for Warner's, he had a tune called Available Space, which was good. It was sort of, a signpost to a track for FM radio, I guess, with that title, and it did get some radio play. I did see him play solo guitar opening for Captain Beefheart and the Magic Band at Ungano's. I went down there with my old friends Steve Hendel and Bob Rubin, and had my mind blown that night, as I might have mentioned. And opening was Ry, and he was great, just playing solo acoustic. But people kind of talked all the way through it. It was a rather rude New York City crowd. I can think of some concerts that would have been better off without such talking. I mean, I think all of it. Same fate that Leo Kaki suffered once. I saw him up at Woolsey Hall at Yale, and he got really angry. He said some stuff from the stage, but he had the unenviable task of opening for the Mahavishnu Orchestra, who everybody pretty much was there to hear, although I love Kaki and his work. So I know it's difficult as a soloist to break through. I had some memorable fights from the stage. I think I had a tour in '90 when I went out there after Skeleton at the Feast. My first solo album came out. I toured all over the UK. I went all the way up to Scotland and, encountered resistance, shall we say, except in pockets where they knew pretty much who I was. But, some of the gigs that were cobbled together to make a tour were well, I mean, I can laugh about it now, but one was, I was driven, I had a driver, I was paying for everything in these days, through the nose. And we left from Hebden Bridge, which is like the hippie capital of the Midlands, hippie haven of the universe, maybe, where I had a gig, and actually after that gig I had a memorable battle with about 10 horseflies, most of which I was able to, to pulverize against the wall with a wet towel. It was one of those situations like, okay, guys, it's you or me, but I'm not gonna put up with this. I couldn't sleep. They kept buzzing me, and they were huge and noisy and aggressive. And so at the end of the bout, there were at least 7 bloody splotches on the walls. I hope they're not still there. Sorry, guys. It was at some sort of old desiccated mansion in the suburbs of Hebden Bridge where this took place. And I felt pretty good about it, but it was like, I killed 7 with one blow, the story of the little tailor. I was feeling very industrious that evening, but the next day we had a slog up to Glasgow, one of my favorite cities to play in, Old Reekie, as it's known. And but this was in a worse situation. This was probably the worst stop on this tour because the gig was held in the basement room of a pub. The only promotion that was visible, as far as I could tell, was a blackboard outside the pub in which was chalked up in chalk. An evening of jazz with Gary Lucas, that was it. And opening were members of a band that was on Columbia Records for a minute called Deacon Blue, named after the Steely Dan song, but they didn't attract anybody. So I played for about 3 people, I guess 2 of the acid heads, who, they have a Beefheart grapevine in the world. They got wind that I was playing up there. Of course, it was all pre-internet. And they enjoyed it, and somebody else. And at the end of the night, I think it was really the worst guarantee on that tour was about 100 pounds only. At the end of the night, the Scottish gadabout who, buzzed in to say hello to me in his sports car, and then he just kind of laughed in my face, and he didn't want to pay up. He didn't pay up, despite my tour manager driver trying to have a go at him. Not physically, of course, but he didn't pay up. And I'll never forget, he said in a thick Scottish burr, "You got a roof over your head tonight, don't you? You getting breakfast tomorrow morning, ain't you?" Okay, that's only to say a dear Scottish friend of ours died, but he appreciated this story. Our friend John Stewart, who was one of Caroline's oldest friends and classmates at the University of Norwich, University of East Anglia, when she was a student there, he just shockingly passed away. I think I mentioned it at the end of the Tuesday session, and we're really broken up about it. There's been so much tragedy, and it spilled into this year. This was supposed to be such a game changer. I mean, even the New Yorker, titled some wrap-up, a supposed wrap-up of last year as a diary of the plague year. Now you notice I continue to inscribe at the top of these broadcasts a journal of the plague years, because with all these variants that keep turning up, it just seems like an endless and then the slog forward. But anyway, I'm not defeated, and I instead want to just keep entertaining you, and so here I will. bells are ringing.